Instagram at Balance with Carla, and sending questions, really random questions, which I kind of really found interesting. So I wrote the answers down, wrote the questions down. And if you'd like to comment more on what I had to answer, please be my guest. The lines are open by the end of the show. 0700-993-993. So as a first question, and some of you, by the way, some of you came out anonymous, which I totally respect. And some of you just gave your name, so I'll just give your name as well. I enjoy drinking tea and coffee a lot during the day. Can you get enough water from just drinking tea and coffee? That was from Tolu. So I enjoy drinking tea and coffee a lot during the day. Can you get enough water from just drinking tea and coffee? So Tolu, from what I understand, you don't drink water at all. You're just focusing on tea and coffee. So the short answer to your question is no. Let me give you the long answer now. Sit back and relax and listen to that. Tea and coffee contain caffeine, okay? And that's what makes them diuretics. That is, that they can cause your body to lose water. And you do need the water. When you don't get enough, your cells start to draw water from your bloodstream, and then your blood gets sluggy, and your heart has to work harder, and your body starts redirecting the blood flow away from the less vital areas because it has to compensate for the lack. Now, I'm sure you've heard of the standard recommendation to drink 8-ounce glasses of water per day, but you don't necessarily have to follow the standard recommendation. You need to just drink as much as the amount you feel comfortable with, and a bit more, usually more than you need. And it all depends on your individual needs, honestly. If you exercise, if you sweat a lot, if you live in a hot weather, hot climate, then you are probably more prone to having to drink more water to compensate on the water you're losing. And definitely it's something you should look into. I mean, but the only way you would know that you're getting enough water, it's when you're noticing that you're urinating more often than usual, and that by the end of the day, the color of your urine is quite transparent, as close as possible to water. That would be a proper indicator that, okay, you're well hydrated, you drank enough water. So back to your coffee. Actually, before the coffee, if you really don't like drinking plain water, because that's what I suspected it could be, that you're not a water person, you can always get the fluids you need from highly diluted fresh fruit juice or herbal teas or well watered down sports drinks. Watch out though for the sports drinks, because some of the brands contain loads of caffeine and loads of sugar, so you really need to know what you're buying. And of course, avoid the caffeine containing soft drinks like the colas. They have the same diuretic effect as coffee and tea, and they contain also phosphoric acid, which leaches your calcium off your bones, and also contain some sodium, which does the same effect on your body as salt. So that's what you should work out on. Now, let's say you still want to get that, water by drinking coffee or tea. You insist. It's not going to work doing anything else. Just think about it. To get 2 cups of water, just 2 cups of water from your coffee or tea, you would have to drink 3 cups of coffee or tea. Okay? So let's consider that you should be getting, let's say, your 8 cups of water per day. So that would be drinking around 12 cups of coffee or tea to get that much. And in case you are consuming this amount, which is around 12 cups, that would be a lot of caffeine, which, trust me, is more than enough to make you jumpy, anxious, fearful, or even interfere in your relaxation or in your rest or in your sleep. So if you are drinking anywhere near that much coffee or tea, I strongly suggest that you cut back to no more than 300 milligrams of caffeine per day. So what's 300 milligrams? Or let me say it this way. How much is 300 milligrams of caffeine a day? That's the amount you would get from coffee, depending on how the coffee is actually brewed, the method. Let me go for the simplest method, which is very common here in Nigeria, which is instant coffee, the one you get from the can, you mix with hot water, and there you go, your coffee is made. Now, in that in that teaspoon that you serve, you're getting around 44 milligrams of caffeine. And remember, you don't have to go beyond the 300 milligrams. Now, if you want to go for black tea, the cup gives you around 45 to 75 milligrams of caffeine. If you want to go for green tea, that gives you around 24 to 48 milligrams. So it all depends on how the beverage is prepared. But caffeine, remember, I mean, some of you might say, but yeah, you've said caffeine comes with its health benefits. It does. You get more alert for sports performance. It's also been to show in recent studies that it lowers risk of stroke and cardiovascular disease. But that is when you consume no more than 3 cups a day. So once again, your whole I'll have coffee and tea instead of water approach is not really gonna do it. Because when caffeine is overconsumed, it's a very strong stimulant and it can be addictive with negative impact on your health, just like worsening headaches, anxiety, as I mentioned earlier, insomnia, cardiac arrhythmia, which is palpitation basically, high blood pressure, and the list goes on, PMSing, gastrointestinal and urinary disorders. So honestly, if you want to make sure you're hydrated, drinking only coffee and tea in the day won't make your, it's not going to do. It's really not what I would advise. So my answer to, can I drink only water, can I get water from just drinking coffee and tea? And my answer for you is no, you can't. Go for water, go for, as I said, diluted juices, herbal teas. You also have some water that's sold out there that's flavored. I'm not a fan of flavor, especially when it's synthetic or artificial flavoring, but brands are coming up with more, with let's say healthier options like natural flavors. So do look into that. Do see if it's around your area, if it's sold in supermarkets or in the market. But honestly, at the end of the day, plain old water is the best thing you can ever get. And get used to it. Get your body used to it. Train your taste buds. Go for half a cup a day, then transition gradually into a cup, then another cup, another cup. And I promise you, it's all about habits. Your body will get used to it. So that answers the first question. Now to the next question. I see lines are starting to call, but I'm just going to go forth and finish off with all the answers, and then I promise you I'll take some of your calls. Question number 2. I live on a very strict budget. That's from Ada. I live on a very strict budget, and I usually buy frozen vegetables since they are the most economical. Can you tell me if there is a problem with eating only frozen vegetables? So, now ideally we would all be better off if we always ate fresh vegetables at the peak of the ripeness, because that's when their nutrient levels are at highest. But we all know that's not possible, especially if you live in a big city like here. The time it gets to go to the market, have everything you need to buy, not even mentioning the journey those vegetables take to get to the market. Some are imported from the north, some from the south, some from other countries. But frozen vegetables are a good option. And I should tell you for a fact that I use frozen vegetables as well, specifically when it comes to vegetables that are imported or that are not found very often here in Nigeria. I'll give you some names later, but there are good options, and they may be actually even superior to the off-season fresh vegetables sold in either the market or the supermarket. So you'd be surprised that in some cases, frozen vegetables may be even more nutritious than the fresh ones that have been maybe shipped on a very long distance, as I said, specifically if it's imported. Because the vegetables, and of course this applies to fruits, by the way, I'm talking about vegetables, but it's the same thing for fruits. The vegetables are typically picked before ripening, which means that no matter how good they look, they're likely to be short-ranged nutritionally because they're not totally ripe. So, for example, fresh spinach. Fresh spinach loses about half of its folate vitamin content after 8 days. So, vitamins and mineral content is very likely to also diminish if the produce like spinach is exposed to too much heat and light and is shipped on its way to your market or to the supermarket. So I would actually go for frozen spinach, knowing that the nutrients are preserved. And as I said, this also applies to fruits. I can give you big numbers of fruits that I buy frozen, specifically also because when they arrive, they look so. I'm going to give you the example of strawberry, and that's a fancy fruit. I call it here because it's extremely expensive, but people, I mean, whenever you read about healthy food, healthy breakfast, healthy smoothies, you always have berries in the list. It's always there, and you're like, how am I going to get all these, and on what budget am I going to be able to, if you really want to have your strawberries? So I would suggest go for the frozen, because the frozen is cheaper and it can last longer. You can actually store it in your freezer. Another thing you can do, if you do buy fresh, which they're not really fresh because they're imported, so bear in mind the journey they take to get to your supermarket shelf or to your market. You can actually freeze them if you feel that they're degrading and you haven't consumed them yet. But the advantage of frozen fruits and vegetables is, as I said, that they are picked when they're ripe and then blanched in hot water to kill the bacteria and stop the enzyme activity that can spoil the food. And then they're flash frozen, which tends to preserve the nutrients, unlike when it's picked just before being ripe and shipped for so many days before it gets to your fridge. So if you can afford it, do buy frozen fruits and vegetables that are not usually grown in Nigeria. So popo, pineapple, of course not, get it fresh. But things like berries, broccoli, peas, green beans, there's so many things you can find frozen, and sometimes it's more practical and, as I said, more economical. So that's one thing you should consider. As I said, I use frozen vegetables and fruits a lot. Of course, hopefully you have NEPA and you have generators, so that's another thing you have to deal with. But that answers the question. Is it healthy to eat frozen vegetables? And I'm going to add to that fruits as well. Yes, it is. Yes, definitely. Especially if they're stored in proper temperatures in your freezer or wherever it is you're buying them from. So that's for the second question. Third question. I promise you I will open the lines if we do have time. I can see the lines coming in. So question number 3. I don't eat meat, yet I was told that I should supplement with B12 because of that. Are there rich sources of meatless B12 I can incorporate in my diet without the supplementing? So for those of you listening right now, and that's anonymous, by the way, so I can't give a name. If you're not careful, from what I see, the person sending this question, I don't eat meat, is a vegetarian, most probably. If you're not careful, an unbalanced vegetarian diet can cause deficiencies in vitamin B12. Vitamin B12 is not only essential for your brain function, but also increasingly difficult for your body to absorb as you do get older. So there are also medications as well that can cause an increase in your risk of B12 deficiency, along with having weight loss surgery for many people who go through that, or digestive disorder. So when you're deficient with B12, you may feel fatigued, nauseous, muscle weakness, tingling in the hands and the feet, and you may also feel forgetful and anxious. Your skin may be more pale, your vision might decline. So see your doctor and get a blood test done if you suspect you're lacking this important vitamin and you don't consume animal protein. And then, of course, make sure you check with your doctor on your diet. But because B12 helps your immune system stay strong, it's involved in your metabolism, your DNA, your red blood cell formation. So it's really an important vitamin. And unfortunately, if you don't eat meat, it's difficult to find. But fear not, you do find it at some meatless sources, okay? Because it's, as I said, it's primarily found in meat and other animal products. You might not find it much in plant foods unless they are fortified. So they go through processing and the companies add some B12 to it. Or you may have to just supplement. So if you want to go for not supplementing, try fortified breakfast cereals. These usually contain B12 vitamins added to them. Try cow milk. Try eggs. So that's if you're a vegetarian, not a vegan. If you're a vegan, that's another issue because vegans don't dairy. So then I would strongly suggest you supplement. So milk, natural yogurt, fortified breakfast cereals. Now, there are other ingredients that are not very common here in Nigeria. They're a bit more fancy, I could put it that way. You've got seaweed, shiitake mushrooms, tempeh, and fortified soy milk. But then focus on what you find locally. You know, it's still possible. Or just supplement once again. But if you want meatless sources found easily here in Nigeria, fortified breakfast cereals, check that they do contain enough B12, cow milk, egg, and natural yogurt. So for all you vegans listening right now, I would suggest you maybe supplement because that would be maybe more challenging for you to find the other ingredients I mentioned. All right, and we have 2 more questions to go. I will go for the 2 other questions because they are interesting. Question number 4 from Jolade. I am in my 50s. What is better, walking or running? So, let's say you're covering the same distance. We know that walking is less strenuous, yet it takes longer for a walker to cover that distance. But running requires much more effort than walking. You're actually jumping from one foot to the other as you propel yourself forward. So there's more effort done. The major muscular work is actually taking place. So what's the bottom line of that? Running does burn 50% more calories than walking. Yes, it burns more energy over any given distance, even though running takes less time. But walking, despite the fact that it might not burn as many calories or energy, it offers a lot of advantages. And especially at your age, if you're not used to doing much in terms of exercise, walking can be a great substitute to driving for short trips, since you can do it in your clothes, anywhere you are, anyhow, any place, at the mall, at the market. You don't really need equipment. So it's actually quite practical. You can walk outdoors, you can walk indoors, once again, as I said, in shopping malls. And it's a safest exercise, I could put it this way. At least it gives you the least chance of injury. And at your age, I would suggest that if you are to walk, which I strongly suggest before the running, the key to making walking pay off is to do it briskly. That means when you're walking, don't just walk, but walk as if you are in a hurry for a meeting, for a very important meeting, and you need to make it on time. So you're actually walking quite fast, okay? That means you walk in such a hurry, and you call that aerobic walking. Keep it until, when you're walking, make sure that you don't feel that you can talk easily, yet you can still talk. So you're not exerting so much pressure on yourself, but at the same time you feel less comfortable when you're talking. So keep it until you can walk at least 3 miles to make it worth it in 45 minutes. So 3 miles in 45 minutes would be great. And aim for, as I said, an exertion level that elevates your heart rate but still allows you to speak full sentences. Now, doing this at least 5 times a week is perfect. And once again, if you do have issues with your knees or you want to avoid knee injury, I would still suggest walking instead of running. So at your age, to avoid any injury, to make sure you're doing it right, go for aerobic walking, go for brisk walking. It will definitely help. Do we have time for one more question, Joyce? We do. Last question, trying to make it quick. There are so many brands selling soy milk. How do you choose a healthy soy milk? So let's go to the basics, which is how is soy milk done? Just so how you can have an idea of the main ingredients in soy milk. So when you turn your soy milk package and you look at the ingredients, you realize if there are too many ingredients. Soy milk is simply made by soaking dried soybeans in water. Then we grind them, you heat them, you press them, and the fluid is strained and packaged as milk. So logically, I have a minute for that. Logically, soy milk is simply the milk coming out, the fluid coming out of the soy and water. All right. And some people add other flavorings, maybe some people add sugar, but it's perfect because it can substitute cow milk, especially if you're lactose intolerant. It does not contain the milk protein if you do have allergies with milk. So quickly done. Good brand. It has to be fortified with calcium, preferably organic. You don't always find organic, that's fine. But free from that thickening agent you find a lot called carrageenan. It's a seaweed derivative and it may be harmful and irritating, especially for intestinal tract in those with a history of IBS, and it's also known to be carcinogenic. So avoid that ingredient, carrageenan. And make sure that your soy milk does not contain too much added sugar. Preferably no more than 3 grams of sugar per serving. Make sure about that. So fortified with calcium, no carrageenan, less than 3 grams of sugar per serving, and the least ingredients the better. Once again, I told you how it's made. We'll be back after the break.
Hello, Lagos. My name is Isoka, and you know I have sweet news for you. All right, so all this talk about food is making me hungry, and Topisto tomato mix is here for this. It's produced by Mohan Agro Foods in Calabar Cross River, and it comes in a beautiful 70-gram sachet. So you can use it to cook your stew, jollof rice, sauces, egusi, spaghetti, eforiro, and all the plenty mede mede. Just find it in any supermarket near you and call 081 438 8003 or 0803 728 4377. Get yours like right now. All right, so do you mean business? If you do, you need to sign up with Number today because it provides access to tools that simply simplify your payments and drive your business growth. You never need to watch your money walk away again because you can now receive all forms of payments like cash, cards, transfers, and you can view them on one unified dashboard real time. Number is for everyone, so just visit number.com to learn more.
More news and information coming up. We'll be back in a moment.
The Dawn Project is searching for creative and competitive minds, and we are saving planet Earth. This year's theme is Recycle, Renew, Rebirth. All you have to do is write a short story or poem, artwork, illustrations, photography, innovative ideas, and more. 3 lucky winners stand a chance to win 200,000 naira, 4 lucky winners 100,000 naira, 5 lucky winners 50,000 naira, and other consolation prizes. Hurry and send in your creative works as entries close on the 5th of June. This is open from ages 7 and above. For more details, log on to www.dawnproject.org. That is DAWNproject.org. T's and C's apply. Recycle, renew, rebirth. Let's save Mother Earth.
Sunday mornings can be boring sometimes.
Yeah, I know. But let's spice it up for you with interesting conversations on the Sunday morning show with Yvonne Ohaifo.
But let's spice it up for you with interesting conversation on the Sunday morning show with Yvonne Ohaifo.
We kick off with Let's Share, where you'll get to vent about your week and also share exciting news. About last week takes you back
To the stories that made headlines the previous week.
And on Real Talk, we sink our teeth deep into trending issues.
No holds barred.
Great talk on the Sunday morning show
Every Sunday, 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. with Yvonne Ohaifo.
on 99.3 Nigeria Info.
Let's talk.
Lagos Leather Fair is 5. The Lagos Leather Fair is celebrating its 5th anniversary with the biggest leather exhibition in Africa. This year's event is tagged LLF 5. The Lagos Leather Fair will have masterclasses, creative workshops, atelier sessions, leather brand exhibitions, and a fashion runway showcase. The masterclass speakers will include Mai Atafo, Adesua Oyenekwe, Muyiwa Femi PS, Adenike Adeyemi. The Lagos Leather Fair will take place on the 11th and 12th of June 2022 at the Balmoral Convention Center, Victoria Island, Lagos. LLF5 is sponsored by Bank of Industry, Afrexim Bank, Providus Bank, Leadway Assurance, Alethea Capital, and System Specs. Media partners are Cool FM, Wazobia FM, and Nigerian Info. For more information, visit our website at www.thelagosleatherfair.com or call the number 0908 472 0800. That is 0908 472 0800. Lagos Leather Fair, impacting the Nigerian leather industry.
Many people are in business, but not everyone means business. The people who mean business never say no to money, cash, card, or transfer. These ones grab business opportunities with their full chest. Keep an eye on things that matter, like people, cash flow, and how it all adds up. They do not only know their onions, they know their numbers. They mean business. With Number, you mean business. Visit www.number.com, that is NOMBA, number.com, to get started.
Welcome back to your number one talk, news, and sports station. This is Nigeria Info.
All right, we're back just to say goodbye.
99.3 Nigeria Info. We are more than just radio. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Nigeria Info FM. Check us out on Facebook at Nigeria Info 99.3. Follow us on Twitter at Nigeria Info FM and on Instagram at Nigeria Info FM Lagos for live updates as it happens. 99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk.